It's time for Tuesday's edition of These Things Are Written as we look at Genesis chapter 27. This is one of those Bible stories that you probably know quite well, the story of Jacob and Esau, and Jacob deceiving his father Isaac to receive the blessing. Now remember the importance of the blessing, more so than in this day, but in that day, in the day of Isaac and Abraham and Esau, the blessing was important. Already Jacob had tricked his brother out of his birthright. So now Jacob was seen as having the leadership in the family, getting the double portion of the inheritance, and now he was trying for something more. Let's begin with verse 1. When Isaac was old and his eyes were dim so that he could no longer see, he called Esau, his older son, and said to him, "My son." And he answered, "Here I am." He said, "Behold, I am old, and I do not know the day of my death. Now then, take your weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out into the field and hunt game for me, and prepare for me delicious food, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless you before I die." Now Rebekah was listening when Isaac spoke to his son Esau. So when Esau went to the field to hunt for game and bring it, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "I heard your father speak to your brother Esau. Bring me game and prepare for me delicious food, and I may eat and bless you before the Lord before I die. Now, therefore, my son, obey my voice as I command you. Go to the flock and bring me 2 good young goats, that I may prepare from them delicious food for your father, such as he loves. And you shall bring it to your father to eat, so that he may bless you before he dies." It's interesting, isn't it, that the deception does not begin with Jacob. The deception begins with Rebekah. Remember that Isaac and Rebekah had favorites. Isaac had the favorite of Esau. Rebekah had her favorite in Jacob. And now Rebekah is working with Jacob to get the blessing from Isaac. So this is Jacob, went to his father and said, "My father." And Isaac said, "Here I am. Who are you, my son?" Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Now sit up and eat my game, that your soul may bless me." Even though it was Rebekah's idea, Jacob was a very much willing participant. He had already stole the birthright, as I mentioned earlier. Now he was after the blessing. And I, again, really encourage you to read every chapter as we talk about it. There's much in there of the different types of things that he did to be able to trick his father. Moving to verse 26. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Come near and kiss me, my son." So he came near and kissed him, and Isaac smelled the smell of his garments and blessed him and said, "Ah, see, the smell of my son is as the smell of the field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you of the dew of the heaven, of the fatness of the earth, and plenty of grain and wine. Let peoples serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be everyone who blesses you." Again, as we see this, Jacob was living up to his name, wasn't he? His name of deceiver, of the one who grasping something that is not his own, deceiving his own father to receive that birthright and the blessing. The blessing. Let's move to verse 42. But the words of Esau, stating his desire to kill Jacob when Isaac had died. But the words of Esau, her older son, were told to Rebekah. So she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said to him, Behold, your brother Esau comforts himself about you by planning to kill you. Now, therefore, my son, obey my voice. Arise and flee to Laban, my brother in Haran." We'll hit more of that next week. But as we wrap up today, looking at this story of two brothers, one brother who was deceptive, grabbing what was not his. We see that story of favoritism and how it divided the family. We see a story of how cheating, how sinning against one, bearing false witness, really, against Isaac, and even cheating, stealing from Esau, as Jacob did earlier, that birthright. How that only causes problems and division in the world. We are called to trust in God, to obey his commands that he has placed there, so that we might be able to better engage and better work with those that God has placed us in community with, whether it is our family, whether it is our church family, our neighbors, whoever, to obey those commands, to live the life that God desires us to live. Glad you've joined me today in this great passage. Come back tomorrow and we'll continue by looking at chapter 28 as we see Jacob going to Haran to find his bride. We'll see you then. God bless.